what do you think are the biggest obstacles for your personal success, like for people who come to you?
Absolutely. I think the number one thing that I often hear people say, it always involves kind of 5 or 6 common words, right? There's always a lot of stories in the middle, things that happen, but ultimately it boils down to frustration, some sort of fear, some sort of overwhelm, some sort of anxiety, or some sort of stress, right? And those trigger words, right? Those feelings are essentially what's holding them back from truly living a life that's congruent with what they really want. And they don't know how to break through that, right? Something happens in the world, in the physical world. We react to it, we feel something, and then ultimately, most people react to that feeling, right? It's a reaction. They're not taking full control of what's actually happening around them, right? They're not giving their brain permission because they don't know how to give their brain permission to reroute their brain and go somewhere else and start to take a different type of action, whether we can call it more positive, more influential, more intelligent. Sometimes the action is no action. How many times over the last 18 months or throughout our lives have we seen people just take reactions towards some sort of event in the world? They're chaotic, right? That's a fear, that's a stress, they're overwhelmed, there's anxiety. When this builds up, it manifests and that becomes your reality because your brain is naturally conditioned now to always have the same reaction. So that's the commonalities I see with the majority of people that I work with, right? It really doesn't even matter if you are an executive at a company, you're mid-level management, or you're potentially stepping out of college and trying to find your first job. These patterns are the same. The good thing is that if you put in the time, and it's not even that much time, it's about learning how to actually dehabituate this pattern of thinking. You can step out of it. You can start to live in what I like to call a more intelligent lifestyle and essentially empower yourself to take the right actions, to make the right decisions, and to get to where you actually want to go, which is whether it be landing a job, getting a promotion, or leading your team to full success as an executive at a company.
I feel that a major thing that I see in people that they don't really take the time to define success for them. They take like in autopilot what was said, and then even if they get to this position, in many cases, it's not really success for them, and therefore they are not really content and happy when they get it, or they just have another step going upwards, and like the goal is just changing upwards.
Absolutely. And I think for anybody listening right now, or even yourself, think about all those moments in your life where it just felt right, right? And we all have them. They happen in different moments throughout our lives, whether we're a young child, teenager, early adult, late adult, doesn't matter where. But we know what that feels like. And essentially, that is alignment. That is living in true alignment with what you really value, what you care about, what your true beliefs are. But we often don't know how to replicate it because, as you mentioned, we don't take the time to define success for ourselves. We never give ourselves permission to sit down, to really thoughtfully write down a lot of the things that matter to us, right? The average human being has 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. Most people have a ping pong ball flying around their head and they don't know how to tame it. Writing, journaling, going through actual exercises where we think through, okay, this felt good, this didn't feel good. Sometimes it's as rudimentary as that. And from there, you can start to actually isolate the events, the moments, the things that actually bring us joy, which will inevitably bring us success. And that's how we start to define it. That is the first exercise that I go through with everybody. And essentially, it's just decoupling a lot of the things that are going through our head that we've never known how to do.
Yeah. And do you feel that it's easier for people to say, this is my success career wise and not my success in any other pattern of life?
Yeah, absolutely. I think people oftentimes associate their success with their job title or their company, right? How many people want to work for a FANG company? And once they get there, I've talked to so many people, they're unhappy because two things happen. Either they're not in the right role, so they're doing a job that just doesn't actually fulfill them because, again, they're not in alignment, or they end up with a manager who themselves is not happy. So that manager is then perpetuating some sort of feeling down on that employee. So they don't like the leadership, but at least they can tell everyone at a party or their family that they work for Google, Amazon, Facebook, or any other large company. So that fulfillment should never be tied to a title, to your actual organization that you're working for. I don't care if you're working for a no-name company that nobody's ever heard of, but you love the people you're working with. They have great leadership. They have great product market fit, and hopefully you're getting paid decently, right? Those are kind of the 4 elements that I tell literally everybody that you need to assess when you first try to join a company. Usually, if 3 out of the 4 of those are there, you're most likely going to be happy at that company. That doesn't necessarily define success for you, but at least you can start to enjoy what you actually do every single day.